Yeah, buddy. What's good, Lucas? How's it going?
Pretty good, and you? Are you ready to jump into this podcast?
Of course I am. I'm fucking hyped. Sorry, the talking points. So let's fucking jump right.
Literally
You
jump
get it?
in. Alright guys, today I want to talk about Jumpyard, which basically is a trampoline park. So a little background story. Last week we went with friends to literally a trampoline park, and man, this is not just for kids. This is freaking amazing. It has a ballpark.
Epic.
You can play freaking dodgeball on a trampoline. So imagine 4 versus 4. You feel like you're in the movie.
Duck, dodge,
dodging.
jump.
Exactly. What is it? Duck, dodge, and the 3D, something like this. And yeah, it was super amazing. We did the mistake, so you can either go for 1 hour or for 2 hours. And we're like, yeah, we can do it for 2 hours. After 20 minutes in, we were like, fuck, I'm exhausted. And all the little kids around us just playing around. But yeah, no, that was super, super amazing. And why am I bringing this up? Because at the end, we were like, all right, spill the beans. How many people are actually coming here? Because we're like, all right, this must be printing money. Because there are like so many people around. And the guy was like, all right, on average, there are 880 people in that place per day. And the cheapest one is like literally 13 euros.
So 800 in the summer. Summer season is the low season. It was 800 something.
Yeah, 880 people, something like this during summer, and of course, high season is in winter, because in Barcelona it gets really really hot. So yeah, you're gonna sweat like there's no tomorrow, and that's a low season, right? And it was amazing. So you also not only have like, so for example, there are two different tiers. So one part is like, okay, you can go on the lower part, you can just like trampolines, etc. Let me just share my screen so I can better show it. 1 second, because it's very very amazing. Foam Park Barcelona. Here we go. All right, guys. So you can see here, you can just like literally on a foam pit, you can beat each other up with those freaking sticks, which is super super cool.
Lucas, who won?
I won, obviously.
That's a lie.
It was super fun. Yeah, I can definitely recommend it. So it's like you have access to like climbing area, dodgeball, and of course then the trampolines. Definitely can only recommend. And yeah, and then afterwards, of course, you have also different parts. So for example, on top of all the trampolines, you can do like, what is it, Mark? Free climb?
Was a zip line? All right, so
Yeah,
this one
zip line.
one was a zip line, and the other one is just like not a climber, but it's like I think it's like a hanging park. So basically, you have a course, like an object course, that you basically have to run, but it's high up, like I don't know, it's like 10 meters high or something. So you have obviously a safety harness, etc., and then you get to do these objects. You have to run this course, this obstacle course, and then yeah, it's pretty cool. And Lucas, how much does that cost? Is that included in the price or is it extra?
No, of course that's extra, and that was another. I think like, oof, what was it, like 10 euros, 15, something like this.
So the zip line was €6, and the other
Well,
object
but it's
was
one way,
saved.
right? So if you only do
It's
one
one
way,
time.
but if you want to do back, it's 10 euros. So it's like dos vueltas, that's 10 euros. So yeah.
Oh really?
So yeah.
Oh.
I have it open here. So it's like crazy. It's like it's very very simple. It's low maintenance. You just like get the guy in there and it's like, all right, enjoy yourself. But yeah,
The zip
so
line.
now, oh, the zip line, super super cool. But there's a limit of 110 kilos, so that's like, what is it, like 240 pounds. Not all the big boys can't enter it.
260.
But yeah, all right. So basically, let's do the math, because we were like, okay, that has to be in like a cash cow. This has to be printing money. So basically, 880 people, and it's 7 days per week, and 880. That's basically the lower end, because he was talking about up to 1,200 people there. So that would be roughly. We're calculating with like per average per person, they're spending like 13 euros or 12. And no, actually 11. So it's like 13 the course, but if you have like kids, a little bit cheaper. So we're going in the lower end, and that's literally per year a revenue of 3.5 million. And then of course we did the calculation of expenses, like literally rent, it's a suburban area, so it's 30K. You have 10 employees, it's not 30K. Utilities, maintenance, insurance, etc. And that ends up being 1.2 million, which is also a lot of expenses, but you have to consider that it also prints a lot of money because you literally can buy food. It's in the suburban area, so you don't have a lot of restaurant options. It's literally in an old, what is it called, like warehouse, which is makes it also cool, and like the ceiling is super super high. And yeah, they also charge you for socks because you can't enter with any shoes. So they're like, all right, here you have to buy. By the way, there's an extra €2
special socks.
Exactly.
It's not just your regular socks, like special jump socks,
which are literally just socks with a little bit of rubber underneath. But hey, who am I? But smart for business, so we can't really hate it. And yeah, and then of course, if you think about it, it's a big margin or big profits that you can make with that one. But you also have to kind of calculate that you have at least $1 million, $1.5 million just for setting everything up because trampolines are expensive.
And then obviously you have to consider as well that, right, if it works well, I'm guessing this one is very, very popular because you told us that they're running at a capacity, like 100% capacity most days during the winter. And I think because you said 1,200, but I think it's 1,800 what he said in the winter. So there's a huge difference in between the summer 800 versus 1,800. That's more than double in the winter, which is freaking insane. And what you did the math with is just like an average. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the lower end.
Super, super cool. I mean, I wouldn't call it a blue collar side hustle, but it's definitely a business that I wouldn't think about regularly. It's just like, it's a really, really cool business where you can make a good living.
I believe in general, because you have to think about it, if you want to build it with you don't need that many locations to make a lot of money, right? Because in the end, it's like the problem with like smaller things. Okay, for example, on the other podcast, we talked about escape rooms. Escape rooms are like, it could be a blue collar side hustle because it doesn't need that many, like a lot of initial investments. So that's one thing. But you need a lot of locations to actually make like millions of euros, right? Because it's like, all right,
100%, yeah.
You need 10 locations, whereas this one, you're like, all right, I have one. That's already makes millions. That's already amazing. And then, of course, if you have a second location, so it's less management.
Well, it's less management, but also you have a much bigger front-loading costs, right? You have the setup costs are so much higher.
No, yeah, I think that's a really, really good business. Interesting for sure, of course, but it requires a lot of like initial investments, like $1 million, $1.5 million at least. So this is not for the everyday Joe, but it's a cool idea, which I think is very amazing. And of course, the best part is it's for kids, it's for grown-ups. So it's a cool mix. So we always
family event.
Yeah, exactly. It's a family event. And like, especially if you like look at the concession part, they had so many sweets, and we all know kids, they just like, oh, daddy, I want some sweets. And you're like, all right, I mean, I already went that far out. Why not just give them
pizza?
Exactly, pizza as well. So bro, there's a lot of options there to make a lot of money there as well. Like also just the Gatorade, stuff like this. You can charge so much more. So I think that's a really, really cool thing. And yeah, really love the experience. So everybody also, if they want to check it out, it's called Jumpyard in Barcelona. If you're ever around, check it out. But yeah, I think that's it for me. Mark, what do you got?
That's pretty good. I like. All right, so we're jumping from literally the Jumpyard now to a different tool. It's, well, actually in a section which we work in kind of, these are tools that I like. All right, we're jumping directly to no code and design to code tools. Because I do a lot of shit for our company in terms of products, so I use these kind of tools, and I thought this is fucking fascinating. So a little bit of background. Lucas and I last year started a course in coding, and obviously it is pretty hard, not gonna lie, and it's super complicated. So just to get the basics, you understand how to write, etc., is a pain in the ass, takes a couple months, and then you can just code, I don't know, a calculator. So process, very, very slow. All right, now what are other tools? What are no-code tools? Basically, you can create websites, we took, I don't know, weeks to create in days. Super easy, mostly it's drag and drop. You have really, really cool tools. I mean, you name them, I don't know, Wix, Webflow, Bubble, Bubble is a little bit different, but I'll explain a little bit different later. So there's different types of no-code tools that are basically one just front end, regular basic websites, which is Wix and Webflow, and then you have more web apps. So that means there's also backend included, which is something that like Bubble can do, which is more complicated, which is really, really cool because you don't need any coder at all anymore. I think sometimes maybe you might need it, you might ask someone, but with them, you mostly don't have to do it. All right, why is this super interesting for right now? Well, there's been a lot of advances, and everybody knows coders are freaking expensive, man. If you want a decent coder, you pay a shit ton of money, and then obviously you have also fluctuations in performance. They always have...
Tell me about it.
Oh, exactly. They always have so many offers, so they can just go and be like, fuck you, motherfucker. We don't need you. Or, well, he doesn't need us. So I think it's a pain in the ass, and it's a super cool skill to learn. And especially, I think a lot of people that have something in, like, let's say designers, etc., they see something, they visualize how their product wants to be or they should be, and then the reality is so different. I think there's like this kind of friction is kind of annoying for them. So I think these tools are incredible, which we started off with no-code tools. Fascinating. But lately, I just discovered a design to code tools, all right? This is a subsection of this, basically. So you can directly go into Figma, and you can design something, and then, boom.
So basically, you're telling me right now, you just use Figma, and then you just use that tool, and then you have it as code on a website? Or how does it work, Mark?
All right, let me jump in there. So what it is I go on my Figma boy, my favorite Figma. I design whatever I want to have. I go step by step. I have to design in a specific way. I have to use a specific ways to do it.
For those, Mark, please explain for the people who don't know what Figma is. Please quickly explain what Figma is.
All right, so Figma is basically a UX UI design tool where you can create wireframes, etc. for your designs. It was recently bought by Adobe, I think 10 billion. Lucas, what was it? 10? Something like that. And
yeah,
it
by
is
Adobe
really, really
for
cool.
20 billion, by the way.
Oh, sorry, 20 billion. So, small house, huh?
Yeah.
They're not doing so bad. Exactly. So Figma is killing it. It's super, super practical. Everyone that does design, UX, UI design has used it for sure. And it's the big player, I would say, in the market at this point. It's better than Adobe XD, etc. All right, so coming back to it. So what I've done, I designed all that stuff now, and then usually the process would be, all right, coder, please, these are the designs, these are the margins, I don't know, this is what it looks like, please copy it and implement it. And then there's a huge discrepancy. You always have to run by like, this one is not different, this is not working. Why is this not responsive, boy? Please do it responsive. And some coders hate responsiveness, Lucas. Do you want to tell us a story about our favorite coder and his battles against responsiveness?
So our co-founder Sergio, he's always definitely not a big fan of responsive. I mean, I totally get it because in the end, it's like, oh my god, it's moving. Where should this go? Where should this go? Resizing issues. So there are a lot of things that happen there, and of course, if you can solve that already by designs, that's already amazing. As well as like if you can already spit out the code. So yeah, it's always a struggle.
Oh, for sure, man. It's a pain in the ass. All right. So jumping back in, we are at design to code tools. We want to have the speed, cost efficiency, and consistency, and most importantly, precision, right? This is why it's so epic, and this is why I started using one of these tools. It's called Locofy, and let me tell you, so cool. So what it does, I can create just a design. I have to do a couple of changes, but I can do them myself, and it's not complicated. It really is not. They have sick tutorials. You can just go over. It's like, hey, by the way, also game changer, because now AI is evolving so fast and it's super helpful. So this tool has an AI box. I just basically click on one frame of like, hey, please convert this for me into a website. And it says like, okay, buddy, you have to change this, this, and this, and this. Oh, you don't know how to do this? Here's a tutorial for this. So it's really, really cool. It helps you, basically holds you by your hand, like, yo, buddy, we're going to create a website. Come with me, friend.
But that's how it should be, right? Because, I mean, I think there's a lot of problems on onboarding. these cases because people are like, oh, I'm not a coder. How should I be able to do that? And of course, that's why you need a lot of hand holding there, because it just like gives the designer the option to also like help with the coding, right? Because in the end, it will fasten the process. Because most of the time, it's not the design that causes is the bottleneck, but it's more the implementation later on, which also requires a lot of like revisits. Like how many times, Mark, has it been that designs of us were like that way and then implementation were different because like there was creative differences between coding and design, and of course that way if the designer can already pre-design everything and spit out the code, basically get all the front end done, and then of course developer can connect everything. So that's pretty amazing.
Exactly. So Lucas already mentioned it. So there's limitations to this right now, right? So what I use is just front end. So that means basically I'm creating the website in terms of what it would look like, but there's no functionality. I can interlink them, like, hey, if you click on this button, you go somewhere else. But if there's something more interactive in terms of, hey, this there needs to be a backend, I need to show data points, etc., then obviously this needs to be done by the coder, and obviously this also needs to be implemented because I just did the design and I gave the code, which I can copy paste. But obviously then in this case, for example, Sergio, our CTO, would have to create that, will copy the code and implement that on our website as well. But this way you can create more pages and be more productive. And you can also have it so much, faster. Honestly, super cool. Limitations, like I said already before, there's no backend in this. So that's why no-code tools such as Bubble are fascinating, because you can also do the backend. But obviously then the learning curve is also much steeper, because then you have to consider, hey, how does a server work, etc. So you need a little bit of understanding for that. Not directly coding, it's still just the concept you need to understand.
So how would you categorize the tool, Mark? In which category would it fit? Would it be called no code, like Locofy, right? So in which category would you put it?
All right, so no code is Bubble, Webflow, etc. And this is designed to code. This is the category I found it in. And I think it makes also a lot of sense because it just translated design directly into code, which is super cool. You can basically choose which code you want, so the framework as well as which UI library you have. So for example, we use Material and Tailwind, so super cool. I like it a lot. So I can highly recommend it, guys. Check it out, Locofy. Also, what is cool is Framer. Interesting, but I just went with Locofy for now. And I'll keep you guys posted on that. I mean, honestly, super cool. I mean, there are some implications, obviously, with this. There can be much smaller teams that can do it. So that means a non-technical founder can also do this. And at least create wireframes, and then with that they can raise money or just start the business already. So I like a lot. Lucas, what else? What are your thoughts on this?
No, I think it's super cool because we see it now ourselves in our own business, right? That always gets me excited because we're like, all right, how can we optimize the process? Like, how can we like widen the bottleneck? Like, and of course that way, if you can do all the designs as well as then already front end, there's no issues with also resizing issues, etc. Because it can all be done already. Let's see how it goes. We of course keep you guys updated. But besides that, it's very, very amazing because it gives more power to the creators and of course lessens the burden of the developers. So for me, that's a win-win situation.
Exactly. So I see the same way. Fucking epic. You can help you out, you coder. Sergio, we will help you. Don't worry, my boy.
You.
We got you, fam. All right, I think that's my topic. Super cool. I liked it. I think that's the spot, bro.
Yeah, that's the spot. All right, guys.
All right.
Twins out.
Twins out.
Catch you
Peace.
guys.